Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show presented by the Craft Beer Nation. Today is Thursday, May 19th, and tonight we have the pleasure of speaking with Tom Schaeffer, who's the owner and CEO of Black Cloister Brewing in Toledo, Ohio. Sit back, get ready, enjoy the ride, and while you're pouring that beer, I don't know how ambidextrous you are, but use the other hand and go check out our different social media platforms. We tweet at Craft Bee Nation. We're on Facebook, Craft Beer Nation. We can find us on Google Plus, and we're on Instagram as Craft Beer Nation. So pour that beer in a glass, get comfortable, and come back and hear what Tom has to say about Black Cloister Brewing of Toledo, Ohio. All right, so tonight I'm flying solo, at least at the moment. We may have some we may have some other panelists joining us tonight, but right now it's just me and Tom, mano a mano. Tom, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well, my friend. How are you?
I am doing fantastic, and I would like to extend to you many thanks for taking some time out to speak with us. Before we get into the interview too much, the reason why we decided to have you guys on the show is, well, for starters, we had never heard of you before, right?
Right.
Because you guys are a fairly young brewery, and we'd never heard of you. And then we were like, wait a minute, these guys are coming to Savor. So we're gonna actually be at Savor. We're gonna be broadcasting live on the floor at Savor. So
nice.
We might try to steal you for 7 minutes and come do a quick on-air interview.
Oh, I would love that.
So yeah, we decided to reach out to you guys, and you were available, and here we are. So let's start out by talking a little bit about your beer journey, because this isn't your primary job, right? This isn't your primary job. So how did you get into craft beer?
All right, so getting into craft beer, I mean, I drank imports going back to as early as I could drink beer. So that was kind of the pre craft beer days a little bit, when I started drinking. But then, we got into craft. There was a period at which I wrote a column about beer. Then I was a beer judge. When I was a beer judge, I thought it would help me be a better judge if I learned how to brew. So learned how to brew, found out I liked brewing better than judging. And then founded the local home brew club in this area, also certified Cicerone. And so that's kind of all my background in beer. But besides that, I'm also a Lutheran pastor. And it was actually members of my congregation that said, Tom, you ought to start a brewery, believe it or not. Yeah, it was members of the church. So after about a year of nagging from those folks, I went out and said, all right, I'm going to take a look at it, and here we are.
So at the very least, at least you know that you'll always have, and this is two meanings here. You always have a faithful base, right?
That's right.
So that's pretty awesome, especially considering that your congregation are were some of the main people to kind of push you towards doing that. That's awesome. And you mentioned that you are a Cicerone, right?
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's really cool, because last week we interviewed Virginia Thomas from the Cicerone program. So that and we've had the opportunity to have Neil Whitty, who's one of the master Cicerones, as well as Nicole Ernie, who's also a master Cicerone. So
I was okay with not being a master Cicerone. Like I was like, that was like I was Cicerone. I was like, all right, there's only like a dozen of these master Cicerones around. I was okay with that. And then they went and introduced this advanced Cicerone thing. Yeah. And now I'm like, doggone, now I got to do that. Like, Well, I've got to go for the, yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this. When you got your Cicerone, how difficult was it? Was it super hard? Did you have to devote a lot of time studying for it, or would you say that a lot of your knowledge as a BJCP judge kind of carried over and helped you out there?
I studied for 6 months, but I'm not going to lie, like a lot of the previous knowledge I had really helped out. But at the same time, I took that test. I didn't walk out of there knowing I passed it.
Okay.
I mean, it is, it's a lot of work. It really, really is, and you got the tasting portion. I don't know whether you know how it works, but there's like you've got your essays and your multiple choice, and you've got your written part of the exam. All right, so you have the written part, but then after that is the tasting portion, and you have to score at least 70% on the tasting part of that exam, or no, you could score 100% on the written part, but if you don't score 70% in the tasting, you fail.
Wow. No pressure.
So, yeah, right. But thankfully it went well.
Yeah. So Black Cloister, you guys have been around, I think you said, for about a year.
Yeah, it was a year, March 20th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2 years in the plan, a little over 2 years in the planning. Launched last March and been around for about a year now.
So can you speak a little bit to the name of the brewery?
Sure. So mentioned I'm a Lutheran pastor. So the Black Cloister was the monastery that Martin Luther, the 16th century reformer, was trained in as a monk.
Okay.
After he was excommunicated, he married an ex-nun. Her name was Katie von Bora. And the Prince Frederick, gave him the Black Cloister as a wedding gift. They lived in it. And Katie was a beer brewer. She brewed not only for the Luther household, but she brewed for most of the city of Wittenberg, Germany. So that's the whole tie-in with beer, Black Cloister, Lutheran pastor. That's the whole tie-in.
It's the only name you could have for your brewery, right?
It was someone in our denomination that I said, I'm thinking about starting a brewery, and she said to me, I got the name, and I've got to give her credit, because she said, well, I said, well, what are you thinking? And she said, Black Cloister Brewing Company. I was like, that's totally it. That is so it.
That's awesome.
So I can't even take credit, but it just does fit us perfectly.
2 weeks ago, we had Black Abbey Brewing on there out of Tennessee.
Yeah, yes. Actually, similar background in terms of the name. I don't know anything about, other than that, I don't know why they picked that name. Is there a Lutheran pastor involved? I don't know.
well, he is Lutheran.
All right, okay.
And his pastor was there when we were interviewing him. His pastor was at the brewery, so
all right.
So you guys kind of mesh. There's a natural collaboration there. I'm telling you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you guys got to brew a beer called the Reformation or something like that. I'm just saying. Or something along those lines. So what would you say is your identity as a brewery? Like, breweries that are absolutely hop forward. You got some that are malt forward. You got some who are gonna only barrel age, mostly barrel age beer. You got some that are more traditional style brew, like traditional German styles, right? What's your bailiwick?
Right. All right, I'll tell you what. I want to give you an identity that's twofold. So part of it has to do with beer. So there's three of us that primarily do the recipe formation, decide on the beers. That's myself, one of my partners, and our brewer. But we all bring different things to the table. My wife is a hophead, so I have to know how to brew the hoppy beers. My partner has been brewing since 1972, lived in the Czech Republic for a while, and lagers are his thing. Like he's the lager master. So he brings that to the table. My brewer is really about the kind of malty UK style, English styles and so forth, bringing those to the table. But the thing we all have in common are Belgians. So the thing that really identifies us is that we love to do Belgian beers and we love to do lagers. So in fact, our Munich Helles, called Hell's Angel, is already won medals for us. So we won a medal at the Best of Craft Beer Awards out in Bend, Oregon, and we just won a medal at the San Diego International Beer Festival.
So you guys are a year old and you've already won 2 medals.
2 medals, yeah. It's
I
it's
hope
been a
that
great year.
I hope that you are very proud of that.
We are, and shocked, but we do know we brew those beers really well. We do know that, and it's nice to see other people recognizing that too. So that's one thing I would say about our identity. The other thing I would just want to put out there about our identity is that, for me, if I was going to get into a business, it had to be a business that had a focus on being, bigger than just, even making great beer and making money. There's a business writer named Patrick Lencioni. He wrote a book called The Advantage. And in that book, he said, every organization should exist to make the world a better place for some group of people. And that's what I'm applying to. Hey, someone's just come in. How you doing, man?
Let's go.
So that's part of what I want our identity to be, which is why, like, our slogan as a brewery is brew good, do good. So we want to brew good beer, but we also want to be about making the world a better place in some way also.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, that's a heck of a foot to start out on, because a lot of people, most people, I think, in craft beer, well, you got some people who do it just for the monetary aspect, right? It's a business, they want to start a business, they want to make money. But I think
Sure.
a common thread, even amongst those people and everybody else, is they're passionate about craft beer. But I think that what you just said, it's beautiful, because it seems as if you guys take it to another level. Obviously it's a business. You don't want to do it and lose money, right? You're passionate about beer because you made a
Sure.
decision. You made a decision to get up and do this every day. But that third aspect of wanting to do good by people through what you do, that's making beer. That's not, nobody's ever said that before, I don't think, and I at least I haven't heard anybody say that before, and I think that's awesome.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Yeah.
That's probably why you guys have won two medals in your first year of brewing, and why you guys are going to be at Savor within your first year of opening.
I will tell you, it is part of why I have a staff that's as passionate as they are. I'll tell you that.
Beer karma is a thing.
Yeah.
It really is a thing.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned that you're hell. Okay, well, before I ask that question, you said your wife is a hophead.
Yeah.
And you have a guy, the one guy that was has the experience from being in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
You guys have like a India Pale Lager or a super hoppy Pilsner or something like that?
No, we don't. Not at this point. That would be to my partner I'm talking, Bob, that'd be like sacrilege. That would be he is so into, he's really into the traditional lagers. That's really what he is all about. So we haven't done that yet, but we actually joking about doing it to him, like taking one of his recipes and just hopping it up a whole bunch just to tick him off,
Or when he's right in the middle of the boil, right at as soon as he starts to boil, tell him, Bob, just go home for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's right.
Dump
You don't see what we're doing here.
Kettle of hops, awesome. So what your I think you said that Hell's Angel, your Helles Lager, that's one of the beers, or did that beer win both medals for you?
That won both medals.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just like is it a filtered Helles Lager, or is it
we don't filter we don't filter it. We just do a great job of fining and dropping yeast. It's crystal clear.
Okay.
It's a beautiful beer. One of the things we really pride ourselves with on our lagers is just how clean they look and how clean they finish. We got little tricks, like I said, Bob's been brewing them a long time. We've got a couple of little tricks to get us there, but it's I wasn't a big lager drinker. I'm telling you, some of our lagers, they're my go-to when I'm in the brew pub.
Yeah. Especially if you're going to make a nice Helles lager or a Pilsner or something that one of the things you want is you want it to be kind of snappy. You want it to be super clean, right? Gil, you were about to say something, Gil, I think.
Well, that's something we talk often, right? There's two things on the craft beer that is missing, and it's coming up now with Jackalope and some other breweries. Is like there's a niche for lagers,
Hmm.
and we always talk about when I go to a brewery, if they have a Pilsner or a Helles, I normally that's the beer I order because I know if you can make those are the kind of beers you can't mask any mistake. So
That is absolutely right.
I can tell most breweries by how well they can make a crystal light beer because if you make anything wrong, you can mask with lots of hops or lots of malts in there
Or barrel.
or barrel.
Yeah.
I've never
No, he is.
tried that though.
No, you're exactly right, man. You're exactly right. And what I'm finding is that in the craft brewing industry now, so the folks have been drinking craft beer for a while. Um, you know, they've drank the barrel aged, they've drank the ultra hoppy, the crazy fruited, they've done all of that, and I love those beers, but there is a place to really appreciate
Hmm.
the craft it takes to do a really good two style beer. And so I appreciate like when I have someone come in that knows craft beer and they drink our Helles or they drink our Vienna Lager, which are two of our year-round beers, and they're like, "Wow, that is a really solid beer," because it's tough to brew those.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing to hide behind. All you can stand behind when you're brewing those styles is your skill, and
Yep.
it'll show if you don't have the skills to stand behind. So, what was your brewery output last year?
So we did 400 barrels in year one. And that was just brewing and just distributing into the Northwest Ohio area. But we just added the equipment to increase production by 150%, and we're moving from the Northwest Ohio market now. We're moving down south, so we're going into the Columbus market, and this kind of goes along with what we were just talking about. So we've just started to move into the Columbus market, and what we're finding is that because the styles we brew, which are we brew across the gamut, but lagers and Belgians are kind of our wheelhouse. Okay, um, the bars and in fact even the brew pubs, the breweries down there are are welcoming us because they're like, man, you fill a gap because there's not a lot of people brewing this stuff. There's a lot of IPAs being brewed in
Hmm.
Columbus. A lot.
Yeah.
We have one IPA. That's all. That's like all we do. We do one IPA. Other than that, it is just a lot of different styles than what you see being done just regularly at a lot of breweries. So uh, that was a risk, but we're seeing it as an advantage now.
I'd be willing to bet that this time of year, right, going into the spring into the summer, this is the prime season for you guys, right? Now you know how for most breweries, October, the
Yeah.
Oktoberfest beers, those are where their bread and butter is made. But you guys making these clean, crisp, I'm assuming relatively low, well, low to moderate ABV style beers
Hmm.
because of the
Yeah.
style. People want to crush those in the summertime. Do you
Yeah.
can or do you bottle,
So
or you just tap?
The Hellas is going to be canned this summer.
Okay.
With that beer having pulled two awards in its first year, it is our largest seller in distribution now. It's our largest seller in our brew pub now. It's amazing what one award can do for you, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with that being the case, that's going to be our first beer, and it's a great beer to can for the summer. I mean, because that's a summer beer.
Are you gonna? are you getting a canning system, or are you going to use like a mobile canner, or?
So here in Ohio, we do have a mobile canning line, Buckeye Canning, and so we are in planning with them. I have to get the label approval from federal for that. Once I get that, we've already got the printer of the label set up. So hopefully, it's really about getting that federal label approval, because once that happens, everything will move pretty fast. I hope to have the beer by July in cans. That's my target. That's my goal.
Okay. So was that beer uh I don't know if anybody ever intends to have. Okay. Was it
No.
your intention?
The answer is no.
Okay. It wasn't your intention for that to be your flagship beer. That just kind of happened de facto.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, what we would call our flagship beer is actually it's one that's going to be a saver. So one of the beers that savors, the Belgian Blonde, Marty, and that's what really is what we see as our flagship beer. But the Helles has just taken off.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the beer you name is your flagship, and the one that's earned it.
Look, you can deny it all you want, but your flagship beer is your best lager.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you talk about your building yet. Unfortunately, we're closed when I drove by, and I'm hoping I'll be there. I'll stop by on Sunday there. But that's quite a nifty building you guys got there. It's a nice looking place you got there.
Oh, thank you, man. So downtown Toledo is, had a tough time. We were in the 2008, economy crash that happened. Toledo was the hardest hit mid-sized city in the U.S. It's because we're so tied to the automobile industry, and the downtown was already pretty depressed since then. To give you a little bit of insight into that, the building that you saw, that building had sat empty since 1975. We're the first business to be in there in 40 years.
Wow. You took over the whole building?
So we have the first floor right now. So we've taken over the whole first floor, and the basement. So I think with what we've got, we can get about 2,000 barrels out of that location right now. But it was a labor of love, because there was literally nothing in the building. There was no electrical, no plumbing, no HVAC. There was nothing. But we really wanted to be a part, and this goes to the whole brew good, do good thing I was talking about earlier. We really wanted to be part of reviving downtown and to play a role in that. So we decided to invest in downtown, and we've done that. We were the first business in this building in 40 years. The building was built in 1874. It's an old building, but even since we've moved in there, we're starting to see a lot of life come downtown. Not because of us, I don't want to take that credit, for sure. But we're a part of it, and that's what we wanted to be. We wanted to be a part of that.
Well, I can see with the thematic of your brewery that it's a neat place to kind of decor around what you propose as the name of the brewery is Black Cloister.
Yeah, the interior of the building, if you've seen it, you actually can do Google now has a thing where you can walk through the interior of our building. Yeah. So if you do a Google search for us, you can actually do that. When I walked into it, I went through 18 different buildings, but this was the third building I went through. And when I went through it, I was like, this has got to be the place. Because it's so fit, who we want it to be in terms of kind of that monastic. I like to say that our interior, the intent was to design our interior to be 16th century monastic minimalism. That was the intent, and it really kind of fits the bill.
I should think that you have Lutheran roots based on the choice of the name you have there.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier, but that definitely. In fact, what I didn't tell you though earlier, so I'll add it now. So I mentioned my church was the one that was my members who told me to launch a brewery. So my church actually left its building, and we now meet in the brewery on Sunday mornings. So
I'm going.
yeah.
I'm going to the wrong church. I need to stop.
So let me ask you this. So when you do communion, what are you
barley wine?
Yeah, right. We joke that the mash tun's the baptismal font. We do joke about we do joke about that.
I love this quote that you have on your website from Martin Luther. He said,
"Oh yeah,
whoever drinks beer, he is quick to sleep. Whoever sleeps long does not sin. Whoever does not sin enters heaven. Let us drink beer." I love it.
Luther loved his beer, and the guy did have a good sense of humor.
So, you mentioned that you also had a guy on your team who is really big into English styles.
Actually, my brewer, who is female.
Okay, so does she have do you as a whole, do you guys have a English barley? One of my favorite styles is barley wines. Do you have an English barley wine?
We haven't done a barley wine yet. We've done some high ABV beers, but I don't know whether you heard, but we give a little cheer. Just yesterday, it went through House and Senate here in Ohio to remove our ABV limit.
Cap. Yeah.
Wow.
So the governor's just got to sign it. And if the governor signs it, cap is removed. You'll see some you'll see some barley wines coming out of Ohio.
So are you guys going to be sitting there with your grain bags ready to mash in as soon as it goes?
Yeah. We've had a couple at around 11 and a half. We've been right there, But we probably won't go out and try to make a beer 12+%. We probably won't do that. But the nice thing is now we don't have to worry about if we get there, So it's if we want to make a beer in that level, awesome. Like you said, a lot of the stuff we do is actually between 4.8 and 5.5.
Okay.
But
just because of the styles. Just because of the styles.
Yeah, but we do a Russian Imperial Stout, for instance. We do a Scotch ale that's pretty potent. So we're not confined to those, but a lot of our beers are in that range.
So as a consumer, I would ask you to make a English style or barley wine rather than American barley wine.
Yeah, me too.
Rather
if we make a barley wine, I guarantee you it'll be an English style barley wine. I guarantee it. That's both my brewer and myself. I used to go over to England once a year just to do camera pub crawls. Yeah. I love style beers. I love them.
Tom was saying earlier that it's a 3-person team that does the recipe formulations. Tom's wife is a hophead, so he has to nail the hoppy styles, right?
That's right.
Yeah, another team member who's big on spent some time in the Czech Republic, so that particular style of brewing is nailed down. And as head brewer, she's really big on English, multi-English styles. So if they do a barley wine, it's guaranteed to be an English barley wine, which is it's our speed, right?
I will personally guarantee that that's what it'll be. Yeah.
What's your head brewer's name? What's her name?
Shannon Fink.
Okay, is Shannon going to be at Silver?
She will. She will be there. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
We're gonna have to grab her so when we're doing our interviews, we're gonna have to grab her because it's not every day that we get to speak to females in the actual brewing industry, let alone females who are head brewers, right?
Absolutely.
I think
absolutely.
We've spoken with two. Jennifer Glanville from Sam Adams. We interviewed her at Savor last year. And there's another
We
lady
talked
from
another
Stone.
with Ulrich, Laura Ulrich.
Yeah, Ulrich from Stone. Yeah.
I think crafty beer is missing out on having more women involved on this making bigger decisions.
Well, the interesting thing is, I mean, if you think like, in our background story, the brewer was Katie Luther. I mean, she was the brewer,
Yeah.
and in fact, at that time, women did most of the brewing.
Hmm.
It wasn't until it became industrialized that the men took over the brewing profession. Prior to that, it really was
Woman's
a
job.
woman's profession. It really was. So I think we're going to see more of that. I think we're going to see more women breaking into the industry. Actually, my brew house right now, I have the only all-female brew house in the state of Ohio. So my assistant brewer is also female. And when I do tours and stuff, I tell folks I didn't set out to make it that way. I just hired the best people for the job.
Yeah.
And so I don't promise my brew house will always be all female, but it is now, and I'm really glad it is because I've got some really great people back there.
That's awesome because when you think about it, there is no particular reason why the industry should and is be dominated by males. There's no reason. There's no. I mean, if this is a job that females can do just the same as guys. It's not. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why it's like that now. Why it's all male
Talent in
dominated?
the skill has no gender. That's the thing.
Huh?
Talent,
I mean,
talents and the skills have no gender.
There you go.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of physical labor, but I mean, they handle it. Well, I got to tell you, this is funny because one, when you meet Shannon, you might have to have your. I don't know whether you have a bleep button ready or not, but you, you, you might need one. I'm just going to tell you, like, girl swim like a sailor back there.
Remind her that this is a church, also.
But it's
The church is for the sinners, not for the
It's for the sinners, exactly.
That's right. So but on top of that, like it's really funny. So the assistant brewer, her name's Mo. So it's Shannon and Mo that's back there. And early on, like when we were getting deliveries and stuff to the brewery, they still have this happen. They'll have people they'll be bringing a delivery or picking up something, and they'll say, "So where are the brewers?" And it just that really irritates them when that happens because they're there loading it all in or loading it all out, and yet the person still asks, "So where are the brewers at?" So what they did is they both got fake beards. They have these fake beards, and so when someone does this to them now, they say, "Hold on a minute, we'll go get the brewers." And they go in, they put on the fake beards, and then they come back out and say, "All right, here we are."
That is awesome. I love that.
I just remember another great brewer that's doing a lot of great stuff is Tennessee Brew Works, and their head brewer is a woman as well. So
Yeah, that is right. Yep.
yeah, and no offense to you, but I think the smartest people we've talked on the show in the last 2 years, 3 years now, that's
Have been
36,
women.
have been women. So that's something to say.
No offense taken. I'm telling you, like, I mean, hiring Shannon was the best thing I ever did. I mean, she was a member of my homebrew club. I knew her from there. She was a multi-award-winning home brewer, and I mean, she didn't just enter like the county fair kind of stuff. I mean, she was hardcore, winning tons of awards. I kind of had my eye on her. I knew she wanted to be a head brewer. She got into the American Brewers Guild program, completed that program, did an internship at Fatheads Brewing Company, and then we named her head brewer of our place. And best decision I ever made.
Very nice. So, where do you see Black Cloister? So, a year ago, you guys were just getting off the ground.
Right.
Fast forward a year, you guys have won 2 medals, and you
Yeah.
and you're gonna and you were fortunate enough to win the lottery, to literally win the lottery,
Yeah. Right.
to be,
Yeah.
to be pouring at Savor this year. What are your aspirations? Where do you see your guys in the next year, and then in the next 5 years?
So next year I see us doing in the 1,000 barrel plus range. Uh, really kind of establishing ourselves as a brewery. In the 5 year range, or the long goal is for us to be a regional brewery. Um, I think the BA classifies a regional brewery as 20,000 plus barrels, something along those lines. Um, so that would be our long range goal. I have no aspirations to become a national powerhouse. I don't have that, but what I always say is I don't have the aspirations to be that, but at the same time, if fate and good beer takes me down that path, we're not going to resist it.
Yeah.
But to be a great regional brewery, that's really, really where we want to be.
And it's interesting you say that, because we've spoken to a lot of our guests about and just before we wrap up real quick, we've spoken to a lot of our guests about, there's been, as long as I've been in craft beer, like I'm in the industry, as long as I've been a fan of craft beer,
Yeah.
there's been talk of this craft beer bubble. And
Hmm.
and I think a lot of us here in Craft Beer Nation, me and Gil in particular, because we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Um, and also we had Julia Herz on, and she brought up a good point. She said, there are 4,000 plus breweries in America, and people are talking about a craft beer bubble, but
Right.
there are 8,000 plus wineries in America. Nobody's talking about a wine bubble.
Right.
Um, I and you said that you don't have aspirations to be a national powerhouse, and I think that that's exactly the reason why we're not on the precipice of a craft beer bubble. It's just my opinion, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Not everybody wants to be Sierra Nevada. Some
Right.
people are
Yeah.
totally serving their community, and there's a model for that works. You can be a brewery owner who serves your community, or your city, or your region, and you can still be successful at it. You can still, it can be a respectable and lucrative career. Just doing that model can work, and not everybody wants to be anything other than that.
I absolutely agree with that.
So
I mean, you're just filling in the thoughts of what was behind my answer when you say that. That's absolutely right.
Doesn't mean you can take that next step if you get there too, right? And
yeah,
that's
Right. I mean, like I said, if fate and great beer takes us beyond that, that's we're not going to pull back the reins. I don't think. We would only pull back the reins from a standpoint of controlling growth, because you do
yeah,
see that happen in the craft brew industry. You see people push out too far too fast.
yeah,
You do see that happen, I think. So just in terms of controlling the growth, yes, but would I ever intentionally stifle the growth? No, I don't think, and I can't imagine anyone would really say
yeah,
that they would intentionally stifle growth. Control it, yes, but um, with the number of craft breweries that are out there, I think you're exactly right. I think regional brewery is the place to be, really. I don't think there's going to be that many more Stones, Sierra Nevadas, Boston beers. I don't think there's that many of them coming down the line.
right, yeah,
I think you're going to see what I think you're going to see here in the future of craft beer here is that you're going to see solidifying at the top and a dropping out at the bottom.
yeah.
And where you really want to going to be is in that middle.
Yeah, and attrition will occur, right? Just for the sake
Absolutely.
of if the strong survive. You make good beer, you will survive. You make bad beer, you won't survive. And but
Absolutely.
that's a truth that exists whether or not whether there is or whether there is not a bubble. That's just a truth that's a constant. So
Yep.
um
Yeah, and
so
your community will support you if you make good beer too, right? Your local community always gonna support you if you make good
yeah,
stuff.
absolutely. He
He
has a
broke up a little bit on me. Can you repeat what he
he
said?
says you're committed to your community too.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, you're like I said, you're always gonna have a faithful base, right? You got
That's
you,
right.
you got
Did you mean that literally?
what you say, Gil?
Did you mean that literally?
Literally and
And figuratively,
yeah,
both literally
yeah,
and figuratively, yeah.
exactly. So, normally we give our guests right now a chance to speak about any festivals that they're going to be pouring at here shortly, or any new releases that are coming up. I know we can skip the festival part because we know that you guys are coming to Savor, which you guys are very excited about, and you should be very excited about it. It's one of the preeminent craft beer festivals in the country, maybe outside of the Great American Beer Festival. But do you guys have any new releases coming up here shortly that you want to talk about, or you just kind of produce the same beers year round?
No, you know what? I do have a new release. So we just last night had an event at our place. We had a firefighter appreciation event at our place, and at that event, we announced a beer that'll be coming out in June. We've already brewed it, so it's in the process of fermenting. We actually had 4 firefighters help in the brewing of the beer, and my grandfather was a firefighter. My father was a firefighter. Both of them had firefighter funerals. So what we decided to do is this beer. It's called Saint Florian. Saint Florian's the patron saint of firefighters, and this beer will be coming out in June. It'll be a pretty limited release this year, but we hope to grow it every year. So for all your listeners, please look for it in future years, because what we decided to do was, in perpetuity, a portion of the proceeds of this beer would go to the National Fallen Firefighters uh, 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 Fund. So that's one beer I would definitely like to you guys know about. It is a peppered Russian Imperial Stout. So a
Mm.
little bit of a little bit of heat. So thus the firefighter.
Um,
So yeah,
like ancho chilies, guajillo chilies, jalapenos. What kind of, or is
some
it a
ancho
trade
chili.
secret?
Yeah, ancho chili, a little bit of a trade secret, but it's a heat, but not overbearing. It's not like it's not like we're putting jalapenos in there.
Okay.
It's a nice heat, along with a real malty base, Mexican vanilla in it. Also, it's a great beer. We've done a test batch of it, but that's a beer I would want people to know about because of what it's
Awesome.
going to be doing.
Or what it stands for, right? That's awesome.
Yep,
I love it.
yep.
Well, Tom, I gotta tell you, man, this has been a lot of fun, man. I enjoyed talking to you tonight. I look forward to actually getting to meet you at Saber and doing
Can't
maybe
wait for it.
a secondary interview with you and Shannon at Saber, if possible, if we can get you guys away from your post for a while. But we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. We appreciate what you're doing and your commitment, not just to craft beer, but more importantly, your commitment to the community that you serve. I mean, I think that's awesome. That speaks to the success that you've had in this short year that you've been in existence, and you're doing it the right way. And I mean, I know for a fact that I speak for Gil when I say this, that we love the approach that you're taking to what you guys are doing in Toledo, Ohio, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck, and we hope that, like you said, if fate takes you national, by all means, but you know
Absolutely.
the same amount of love and respect if you choose to just stay regional. And so that said, thank you so much for your time tonight. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Gil. Hope to see you.
Yeah, I drive several times through Toledo throughout the year, so
All right, and I hope to see you. I hope to see you all at Savor for
We
sure.
will.
I'll
Thank you so much, guys.
We will find you at Saber.
yeah.
All right.
So that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Gil, do you know who our guest is next week? I don't have the document up.
I can tell you in a second here. Um, Come on.
I'd be able to tell you in
Sorry.
a second too,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, sorry, I'm on a trip, so I'm on a hotel. My connections are not the best today, and
no worries, I
but
got you.
but next
Um,
week, oh, you got it?
Confluence, yeah.
Confluence, yeah. I
Next
was
week we're
about
going
to
to be joined by a co-founder and I guess their special events coordinator, Ken Broadhey, with Confluence Brewing Company. So that's sure to be a lot of fun. I think they're going to be at Savor as well.
Yeah,
So
they will be in Savor as well, and I think they're from Des Moines, Iowa, which I will be visiting them this Saturday.
okay, cool. So Iowa on Saturday and Toledo, Ohio on Sunday. You got some. You're gonna be pounding the pavement, my man. So nonetheless, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Be sure to join us next week when we have a conversation with Confluence Brewing Company of Des Moines, Iowa. So until then, find some great friends, find some great beer, and mind those P's and Q's.
Cheers.